Tensions between Israel and Iran have reached a boiling point, with both sides preparing for the possibility of an all-out war. The situation has been escalating since June, when Israel and the United States struck Iranian nuclear sites in an effort to cripple Tehran's nuclear ambitions. Despite these efforts, Iranian officials remain determined, vowing to rebuild their nuclear infrastructure and missile capabilities. The question that is now circulating among experts is whether another war between Israel and Iran is truly inevitable. While both sides have engaged in numerous skirmishes and threats, a larger and more devastating conflict could soon become a reality. In recent weeks, Iran has made a bold statement by publicly displaying its ballistic missiles and drones. This marks the first time since the war in June that Iran has shown off its military capabilities in such a dramatic manner. According to a report from the New York Times, Iranian officials have made it clear that they are not backing down. They believe their missile factories, which now operate around the clock, will be able to produce as many as 2,000 missiles at once, vastly more than the 500 they launched over a 12-day period during the June conflict. Ali Veiz, Iran project director at the International Crisis Group, was quoted as saying, "Iran's missile factories are working 24 hours a day because they hope to fire 2,000 at once to overwhelm Israeli defences, not 500 over 12 days as they did in June." The statement is a chilling reminder that both sides view the possibility of another confrontation as inevitable. Meanwhile, the situation surrounding Iran's nuclear program remains just as precarious. While Israel and the United States have taken steps to disrupt Iran's nuclear activities, there are still major uncertainties surrounding the extent of the damage caused by their strikes. One major question is whether Iran's highly enriched uranium stockpile was destroyed during the war or if it managed to survive intact. Iran claims that its uranium reserves are buried beneath rubble, but Israeli officials believe that the stockpile, enough to produce 11 nuclear weapons, has been secretly moved to a safer location. This ongoing uncertainty adds to the growing sense of fear and instability in the region. The conflict between Israel and Iran is not just a matter of military might. It has serious implications for the balance of power in the Middle East. While Israel continues to maintain that it will act decisively to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, Iran's defiance and willingness to rebuild its missile and nuclear capabilities pose a serious challenge. With both sides poised for action, the possibility of another war looms larger by the day. Many experts believe that it is only a matter of time before the situation escalates further, as the United States and Israel continue to work together on strategies to prevent a full-scale confrontation. There is growing talk about the possibility of a divided Gaza. According to a report from the Times of Israel, 6 European officials say the next phase of the plan seems to be on hold and that reconstruction will only take place in the Israeli-controlled area, which could lead to years of separation. This potential division of Gaza is part of ongoing discussions about how to manage the region after the recent ceasefire with Hamas. However, as the situation in Gaza remains tense, there is also growing concern about the broader implications of this separation for the future of the Palestinian territories. The humanitarian situation in Gaza has remained dire, and this has been compounded by violence and political instability in the West Bank. Secretary of State Marco Rubio recently expressed concern about the potential for violence in Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank, and how this could undermine the ceasefire in Gaza. He said, "We don't expect it to. We'll do everything we can to make sure it doesn't happen." However, recent attacks in the West Bank have highlighted the fragile security situation in the region. A few days ago, a group of Israelis attacked a mosque in a Palestinian village, defacing it with graffiti and causing significant damage. Israeli leaders condemned the act, but the ongoing violence underscores the challenges Israel faces in maintaining security, not just in Gaza, but also in the West Bank. In the months Leading up to the recent ceasefire, the Israel Defense Forces had already been dealing with a growing threat from terrorism in the West Bank and Gaza. Despite the ceasefire agreement, the IDF has continued to carry out counter-terrorism operations, dismantling Hamas strongholds in areas like Bethlehem and apprehending dozens of terrorists. The threat of terrorism in these territories remains a serious concern for Israel, and experts agree that while the ceasefire has reduced hostilities, it has not eliminated the underlying tensions that could ignite violence at any moment. As the situation in the Middle East continues to deteriorate, another conflict may be brewing in Eastern Europe. Russia's war in Ukraine has caused widespread instability, but it is also having ripple effects on neighbouring NATO countries, particularly along NATO's eastern flank. In recent months, Russian drone activity has increased significantly, with drones crossing into the airspace of countries like Lithuania, Poland, Germany and Belgium. This has prompted NATO members to bolster their defences in response to the growing threat. Lithuania, for example, has launched public defence programmes, including drone courses for civilians, to prepare for the possibility of a Russian strike. We develop kind of a strategy how we are preparing our citizens militarily and how we're preparing all the rest of the citizens to build the resilience of this population, said one Lithuanian official. The Baltic nations, which sit just miles from the Russian border, have been particularly vulnerable to these threats, and experts worry that Russia could target these nations as part of its broader geopolitical ambitions. The recent increase in drone activity has led to concerns that Russia could soon take more aggressive action against NATO's eastern borders. Poland has also been targeted by Russian drones, and the country has deployed an American-made anti-drone system to counter the threat. The Marop system, which is smaller and cheaper than traditional fighter jets, uses drones to attack drones, providing an effective countermeasure to the Russian threat. This technology has been tested in Ukraine and has already been deployed in Poland and Romania to defend against the growing drone incursions. However, experts warn that this may only be the beginning of a larger regional conflict as Russia continues to test NATO's defences and push the boundaries of its military influence. In Poland, there is growing concern among the population about the possibility of war with Russia. I've seen some reports that our army is not doing great and that if there would be a war, it wouldn't take that much time for Russia to take over some of our land, said a Polish citizen. This growing anxiety has led many Poles to sign up for military training as the government works to build a reserve force capable of defending the country in the event of an attack in September 2025. Over 30,000 Polish and NATO troops took part in one of the largest military drills in the country's history, which took place less than 60 miles from the strategically significant Suwałki Gap. The Suwałki Gap, a narrow strip of land connecting the Baltic states to the rest of NATO, is seen as a potential flashpoint in any conflict with Russia. The opening of a new highway linking the Baltic states to Poland has further increased the strategic significance of the gap, making it a crucial military and transportation route. NATO forces are taking this threat seriously and are bolstering their presence in the region in anticipation of potential Russian aggression. As tensions rise along NATO's eastern borders, the looming question remains not if the alliance will be tested, but when. With Russia's hybrid war tactics continuing to disrupt the region, NATO countries preparing for the worst. The alliance's ability to respond swiftly and effectively will be tested in the coming months, and the stakes could not be higher. Meanwhile, in the United States, the aftermath of the longest federal government shutdown in history continues to reverberate. After 43 days of uncertainty, Congress and the president have agreed to reopen the government. But for many federal workers, the damage has already been done. Nearly 1.5 million federal employees were left without pay during the shutdown. And while they are now guaranteed back pay, it will take time for them to receive the compensation they are owed. This delay in payment has created significant hardship for many federal employees, and the lingering effects of the shutdown are expected to impact the economy in the coming months. The government's reopening has also created logistical challenges for public services, with agencies like the National Park Service facing months of clean-up and lost revenue due to the shutdown. In addition, the ongoing backlogs at the Internal Revenue Service and delays in flight schedules at major airports have added to the strain. Economists are predicting that the impact of the shutdown will have a lasting effect on the economy, with a possible decrease in fourth quarter growth by as much as 1.5%. Despite the challenges, many government officials remain optimistic that the country will be able to recover in the coming months. Amid these political and economic crises, Israel has also found itself in the midst of a different battle, one for its image on the world stage. Diplomat Sharon Haskell has emerged as one of Israel's most vocal defenders, unapologetically challenging media critics and international leaders who have criticized the country's actions. Haskell's background as a border police officer and her experience as one of the youngest members of the Knesset have made her a formidable force in Israeli politics. Her defense of Israel is uncompromising, and she is unafraid to speak out against those who she believes are betraying the Jewish state. In her speeches, Haskell has made it clear that she believes Israel is fighting not just for its survival, but for the values that it represents. We understand there is a war, there's a world war between radical Islam and Western civilization values, she said, and we know on our skin and scars what it means to fight for your freedom. Haskell's unapologetic stance has made her a rising star in Israeli politics, and she is widely seen as one of the most effective weapons in Israel's ongoing battle to shape its public image, as Israel grapples with its image. On the global stage, it is clear that the Middle East remains a volatile and unpredictable region. From the ongoing threat posed by Iran to the rising tensions in Eastern Europe, the situation is one of constant flux. Whether or not the world can avoid another major conflict remains to be seen, but the stakes are higher than ever. As tensions mount, it is clear that both Israel and Iran will continue to prepare for what seems like an inevitable confrontation. And in Europe, NATO's resolve will be tested as it faces a growing threat from Russia's hybrid war tactics.